Well, thank you, Brian. Thank you to the club, and thank you to Dan for inviting me to do this presentation. This is my 1 year anniversary with the club. October was the month, I believe, I was voted in last year into the club. I had just gotten my ticket, and it's been a great year, even though COVID's taken a lot of those meetings out of face to face. But I want to thank this club very much. I've really enjoyed getting to know a lot of you and being involved on the net. And Herb and Dan and Greg and Jim have been really helpful to me in my early learning and being a ham, other than the technical stuff, and actually learning how to do things. So thank you so much to all of you who's played a role in my first year being a ham. Tonight I'm going to talk about the Long Island CW Club, and this is a club that I actually joined before I joined CMARA. When I was getting ready to, I didn't know anything about ham radio in September last year. I knew nothing. I didn't even know really what ham radio was, and I was doing some personal prepping and getting our family ready to be prepared for whatever was coming in the future. And I realized I didn't know anything about communications or comms. And so I found this guy on the YouTube called the Ham Radio Crash Course. It's Josh, and he was just really cool, and I really related to him. And I started looking into what it meant to be a ham. But I was looking through his YouTube channel, and I found this interview with this gentleman in Long Island named Howard Bernstein, who had started the Long Island CW Club. And I didn't know what CW was until I realized, oh, that's Morse code. And then I remember the stories my grandfather used to tell me as a World War II radio operator about him using Morse code. He didn't talk about it a lot, but it brought back some really fond memories. And I said, that'd be really cool to learn Morse code. And so I looked up the Long Island CW Club and actually joined the club before I even took my exam for my ham radio license. And so the rest has been history since then. So I started the classes last year in October, and progressed pretty quickly along the way. But let me tell you a little about the club. So the Long Island CW Club was started about 3 years and I think 9 months ago, 2 years and 9 months ago, and has had explosive growth over those 3 years. We have 924 members in all 50 states, 19 countries. Right now we have about 32 teachers that teach classes each week. It's for men, women, and kids, experts and rookies, whether you've learned it already or whether you're rusty and you want to get back into it, or you're just learning CW for the first time. For techies, nostalgic people, young and old, we have PhDs and retirees, and we all love to share the story, share the love of CW and what we want to do together. So how was it started? Well, in 2018, the Long Island CW Club was the two gentlemen that started the Long Island CW Club were going around to the different field days in 2018, and they realized that there were not a lot of CW operators, and there was a frustration from some of the radio clubs on Long Island that they didn't have enough CW operators, and mainly because that's twice as many points on a field day contact as a regular sideband contact. And so they started a club really designed to help the Long Island radio clubs to have more CW operators for the next field day. And that's what they thought it was going to be. What they found was there was a huge demand all over the country and all over the world to learn CW. And they began classes back in 2018, which I know we're all very familiar with Zoom now, but they started on Zoom back in 2018 using Zoom conferencing. They also did some things on Long Island, QRP and POTA outings, barbecues, all those kinds of things, and some build-a-thons and museum visits, and they go to a diner once a month and all those kinds of things together.
Hey,
Currently,
Rob, just let me interrupt for a second. Are you flipping through your slides? Because we're not seeing any slide change here.
Oh, you're not seeing the right. Okay, I got to stop. I'm sorry, I should go back then. All right, so I must be sharing the wrong screen. I want to share this screen. Is that better? Can you see the slides now?
Yes, we can.
Excellent. So currently we have 924 members in 50 states, 19 countries, and classes have increased to about 50 per week. So we run about 50 classes on Zoom every single week. We have two full Zoom rooms that are pretty much packed from anywhere from 2 o'clock in the afternoon to 1 in the morning, depending on time zone. And the classroom is worldwide. You literally you're in a classroom with people from all over the country and all over the world. And we're poised to grow to over 1,000 members by the end of 2020. All right, now it's not changing for me. Now I can't get my slides to change.
You might try page up, page down.
It's changing on my PowerPoint, but not on. Interesting. How about this? There we go. All right. So how does the classroom work? Well, it works like any other Zoom conference that you've been in. You log in. You can do it on a computer or cell phone. You do need a webcam and a microphone. You do need a key or a paddle and some kind of oscillator or some way of actually sending CW over Zoom. We have a capacity up to 100 students in a class, although only our forums get that many people, and I'm sure Greg's forum this weekend on antenna building will max out the room. And it operates like a normal classroom would. So right now we have, I think, 48 adult classes per week. They range from beginner, somebody who doesn't know anything about CW or Morse code. We have intermediate classes, which start to shorten the Farnsworth gap in between characters, and advanced classes that work to moving up to the 30 words a minute in those advanced classes. We also have a couple of classes around sending and how to really have a strong fist on the air. We have a head copy class for QSOs. This club is really geared towards the QSO. We want people to get on air and make contacts. We're not a big contesting club. We're not looking for people to be using F keys and digital CW readers. We really want people to manipulate keys and do head copy. Now, there's nothing wrong with high-speed contesting. In fact, I enjoy it very much. But this club is the Long Island CW club is really geared towards the QSO, having contacts on air, an informal rag chew class. We also have a women's only class on Saturday nights. I understand there's a lot of wine in that class. Live QSO classes where we have an instructor that will help you. They'll do the copy for you while you're doing the sending, and it's a way to get on the air without having to stress out about copying everything that's being sent. Breaking different barriers, CW workshops, 2020 class, which is a class that I started in January with a goal. We had about 15 people that were in the intermediate level, and we all wanted to get to 20 words a minute by the end of 2020. And so I started this class called the 2020 class, where that was the goal, was to do that. Well, we all pretty much got to 20 words a minute with no Farnsworth by March. So we're now in the third iteration of that class. And then we have a class for speeds faster than 20 words a minute. We have and some other classes. We also do a huge amount of presentations on the weekends, usually Saturdays or Sundays. And it goes through everything from how to build an antenna, satellite contacts, nostalgia, POTA, and so we have a POTA and SOTA forum every weekend on Saturdays, getting on the air in parks and summits. We have a bugs and cootie key kind of forum where people learn how to use bugs or cooties and those kinds of things. All kinds of classes that are available for people. And once you join the club, you're available to go to any class you want and at any time you're available during the week. So in March, early March, I was laying in bed one morning and I was saying, man, we got all these kids that are stuck at home with nothing to do. And I was thinking primarily of the parents when I came up with this idea, but I was also thinking, how cool would it be to get some kids to learn Morse code? So in March, we decided that we were going to provide some classes for kids that were anywhere from kindergarten all the way up to 12th grade. to learn Morse code. We had a lot of grandparents and a lot of parents that had kids that might want to learn a new skill and a new language. And so I put a bulletin out to the club and I said, hey, listen, I'd be willing to teach a class for kids. Send me their name, send me their age, their state, and permission from the parents, and we'll do it on this day. Well, we had 79 kids sign up for that first round, and what I thought was going to be like one or two classes a week for a little bit for our club members ended up being every single day, two classes a day, and boy, it's been the greatest joy of my life. Really, I love it. I love every single minute of teaching these kids. We're now in our sixth round of kids classes since March, and we've had close to 200 kids learn CW, and about 35 of them have either gotten their technician license or upgraded. Nine of them have upgraded, and about 26 as of yesterday have gotten their technician's license. We've had kids as young as 5 years old, all the way up to high school seniors. They're from all over the place. We have 39 states and 4 countries, and many of them are on the air. They're making QSOs all the time. And what drives kids to learn CW is, which kind of surprised me, is two kind of primary reasons. Kids want to learn CW because maybe they already are on the air and they're making sideband contacts, but they want to chase DX, and CW goes a lot further than sideband does for DX chasing. And the second thing is because they want to connect with a relative that also knows Morse code. So we've had kids say, I want to learn CW because my grandfather in Florida knows CW, and I'd love to be able to connect with him on the radio using Morse code. And there's a third reason. They want to know a secret code. So that's a third reason why they wouldn't want that. But it's been incredible to see the kids and the way they've really taken to CW. I tell the story often when I talk about the kids program. Is I have a 5-year-old, he's 6 now, who's still learning to sight read words. He doesn't, he's just learning to sight read, and he can do perfect code at about 15 words a minute, both sending and receiving, except the letters that he tells his dad or his mom to write down during class, he can't read them. He doesn't know what the words say until the parent tells him, because but he can say that's a C, that's a W, that's an X, that's a Y. It's an amazing thing to see. These young people just get it, and they seem to get it a lot faster than many adults do. I teach about 4 times the speed in my kids class as far as the number of characters we learn than I do in the adult classes. So we also have a ladies only CW class. Right now there's 52 members in that class that meet on a regular basis. It's designed to encourage women to be involved with the CW. It's friendly, and the other thing is it's higher than that now. About 70% of our kids in our CW kids program are girls, and that's very promising. And the goal for the club is that there will be 100 women by the end of 2020 involved with the CW, learning CW. So if you're interested in getting started, you could either send me an email. I'm good on QRZ, but it's k2mz@yahoo.com. Or you can just go right to the website, www.longislandcwclub.org, and hit the membership tab, and you can find out everything you need to do. We do ask for a donation of $30 a year, but there's a deal I think of the century is a lifetime membership for $90. You pay $90 once and you're a lifetime member. You need Zoom. We use G4FON as a practice, and in classes. That's a Windows-based learning program for learning the letters. Straight key and or paddle. We recommend people learn on a straight key, but I learned on a paddle first before I got a straight key, so it can go either way. But the straight key gives you another pathway into learning CW, because you're actually kinetically forming the letters on the straight key. You need some kind of way to make the key produce a sound, an oscillator, or you could use your radio side tone. And then we recommend, if you can get to 2 classes a week and practice 15 minutes a day, within a month or two, you can learn all 40 characters and be ready to be on the air. And so, my personal journey in CW was I got challenged by one of our instructors in my second class to get to 40 characters as fast as I could. So I learned them in about 3 weeks. And after that, I just worked on increasing my speed and getting on the air and making QSOs. And I'm approaching 3,000 CW QSOs since November last year. And I just love being on the air with a key in my hand. And I think it's a great part of the hobby. I love it very, very much. Although DMR, I'm just getting involved with just in the last 2 weeks, and that's been kind of fun too. So, any questions? I'm more than happy to talk about my learning or how the club works or CW in general. But more than happy to take any questions that anybody has.
Question, would you please repeat the email address?
Yes, K2MZ at yahoo.com. That's my email address. If you want to go directly to the club, it's www.longislandcwclub.org. O-R-G. All right.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Any other questions?
Did you say Long Island Club?
LongIslandCWClub.org.
Thank you.
Yes.
Question.
Yes.
This is KB1BXY, John. What is the approximate time commitment? Can you give a rough idea?
Yeah, so it really depends on how fast you want to learn, right? So I love the way the club's set up. It's very low pressure, low key. You attend classes when you can attend classes. We don't put you in a cohort. We don't force you to stay with the same people all the way through beginner. So, for example, beginners one class. There's probably 7 or 8 beginners one classes a week. In that class, you learn the first 20 characters. Now, you could go to all 7, or you could just go once a week. It's totally up to you. You can attend any class at any time, no matter what the level, no matter how many characters you know. And if you're let's say you're just learning your first 10 characters, and you want to sit in on an advanced class, you just throw the word audit up next to your name, and the teacher in the class will just say, John, welcome to class. I see you're auditing. Let me know if we can answer any questions. And then they go on with the class. They won't bother you in that class. So however you want to learn CW, you have the opportunity to do that through the Long Island CW Club. Listen, that's also not the only other way to do it too, right? There's other ways to learn CW, but I found this to be just a really incredible group of human beings that are involved with this club. And I instruct both on the adult level and I run the kids program as well. And I love it. I'm teaching a class tonight at 10 o'clock after this, my beginner one class. And it's an incredible group of people, but we don't put any requirements, right? So CW Ops is another way to go. And that's a different kind of club, right? You're going to be in a cohort. You're going to move through with that same group of people. And the goal is to get to 25 words a minute in about, I don't know, I guess 8 weeks. And in that 8 weeks, it's really geared towards high speed contesting. Anybody who's been on 40 meters between 7:30 and 7:50 on a Wednesday, 3 times a day, you hear that high speed contesting going on. That's the CWT, which is run by CW Ops. I did actually go through all 3 levels of CW Ops as well. Just because I wanted to see what the teaching methodology was there, because that's interesting to me, how people learn Morse code. I love that group of people as well. But I'm really partial to the Long Island CW Club.
I have a question.
Yes, Selena.
Okay. Can you just join in the middle of a session somewhere, or do you have to? Are there specific start dates and end dates?
You can join at any time. You can jump in any class anytime. There are definitely reset dates. So tonight I am doing through 16 characters, and then next week I'll be through 20 characters. The The week after that is a review, and then the week after that I'll reset back to the beginning. Now you can, depending on how you want to do it, you could jump in and learn 16 through 20, and then jump in and learn the first set of characters too. It's totally up to you, however you want to do it. But there are also so many beginners classes that they are kind of staggered. So there's always, within a 2-week period, there's always a one BW, one beginner, one class starting over at the beginning. And we use a very prescribed letter pattern, and we use Farnsworth, so we use the Koch method. The Koch method is a German psychologist that came up with a methodology or order of learning letters. And we use that method for the order. And then there's Farnsworth, which is the spacing between letters, the amount of time it gives your brain to process what you've heard and come up with the right answer for the letter. So we use a very wide Farnsworth when we're teaching, and we use the Koch method as far as the order. So you could jump in, and there's no magic to the Koch letter, but that's order, but that's what we use, if that makes sense.
Clarification, please. The G4 FON is only a Windows-based program?
That is a Windows-based program only, yeah. And I believe there's a way to do it on Linux, but I'm not a Linux person, but I think you need something. I'm not the right person to answer that question.
Okay.
But I believe it can be used on Linux as well. Definitely not on Mac, but we have some solutions for people who use Macs.
Because I have a Linux platform.
Yeah, I could get you, Victor, if you send me a email and you want to use that program, just send me an email. I can get you the info. I think we have a document in our club files that talks about how to put G4 FON on a Linux machine.
Thank you.
I think I have a link for an app for your cell phone. Most with google.com/learning. You just have to install the Gboard app, and your cell phone now becomes a dot and a dash type keyboard. And you can practice that way.
Yeah, I would recommend using a key if you're just learning brand new. But a lot of the kids who don't have access to, if maybe their parent's not a ham radio operator, they don't have access to a radio or getting a key or something. They do use. There's a couple of ones that are even more easy than that. There's one that's an actual straight key on your iPhone or on your iPad. So there's several out there. There's also another app that's really good for learning. It's called Morse Machine. That's a iOS, an Apple iOS app, and that's one that you can also do the Koch order in as well. But there's a lot of tools out there, and you'll learn all that when you join and go through the kind of orientation class that we have.
Yeah,
Rob. I'm also happy to help anybody who wants to learn outside of that too.
Yeah, Rob, I just might interject. Having been a CW op for 50 plus years now, and I've done a lot of teaching myself. One of the things you want to avoid when you're learning CW is using any visual aids, charts, or anything like that. You really need to learn it by sound only, because the reasoning for that is when you're using CW, it's essentially another language. And so you hear the tone and you want your brain to go immediately to what that character is. If you learn it via charts and stuff, what your brain is going to do is it's going to hear the sound, you're going to think of the chart and so forth, and all that extra time that your brain's going to process all that extra information in the learning process is actually going to slow you down. So yeah. I highly recommend learning by sound only.
Yep. Yeah, all those aids actually are work against you, and you can always tell somebody in class who's using an aid because they hear something and then they turn their head towards their cheat sheet, we call it, and that slows down the process immensely. Looks like there's some questions in the chat, maybe.
I would like to compliment Rob on his adoration for CW and teaching kids. I think that's really wonderful. And considering, as you said, last year you were not a ham, now you are a ham with a couple of thousand QSOs. Very good. Excellent. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions? All right. Very good. Well, thank you for the opportunity to share about the Long Island CW Club. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out.
I will